My college roommate accused me of stealing her laptop to fund my tuition. She told campus security she's been desperate since day one. They dragged me out in front of everyone. I didn't defend myself until graduation day, when she was arrested after pawn shop records matched her ID because my name's Corey. I'm from Ocala, Florida. Not a fancy place, not poor either, just regular. My dad's a mechanic, my mom works at a dental office. First in my family to go to college. My parents were proud. I was proud. I had this dream of starting over, doing things right. I got accepted to Florida State University, and it felt like everything was lining up. I even landed a small academic scholarship. Between that, some Pell Grants, and the part-time job I had lined up, I thought I'd be okay. It wasn't going to be easy, but I was used to hard work. When I moved into the dorms, I met my assigned roommate, Danica Marshall. From the second she walked in with her Louis Vuitton duffel bag and her mom trailing behind with a personalized suitcase, I knew we were living in two different worlds. She glanced at me, took in the Walmart comforter on my bed, my beat-up laptop, the ramen on the desk, and gave me this little smirk like I was the help. She didn't even say hi. Her mom did all the talking while Danica picked the side of the room she wanted. Her side had a view of the campus fountain. She took it like it was a given. I didn't complain. I never did. The first few weeks were awkward but manageable. Danica went out every weekend, had a new guy texting her every other day, and didn't talk to me unless she had to. She used expensive shampoo that made the whole room smell like coconut and something floral. She left clothes all over the place. One time I asked if she could move her shoes from my side of the room, and she just said, "Are you serious?" Still, I minded my business. I was there to study, to work, to make it out. Then came the night everything turned upside down. It was a Thursday. I remember because I had tutoring until late. I walked into the dorm around 9:30 p.m. and saw two campus security officers standing in the room. Danica was on her bed, fake crying, holding a tissue like it was a prop in a school play. One of the officers stepped toward me. "Are you Corey?" I said yes. I was confused. One of them asked me to step back into the hallway. They kept me out there for about 10 minutes. I could hear her inside, sniffling dramatically, saying, "I don't know what else to think. She's been struggling, she always looks at my stuff." The second I heard that, my stomach dropped. They let me back in, and the first thing I saw was my dresser drawers pulled open. My backpack unzipped. One of the officers said, "Danica is missing her laptop. She says it was on her desk when she left earlier. She believes you may have taken it." I couldn't even speak at first. I'd never been accused of anything like that in my life. I told them I didn't touch her stuff, that I had just gotten back from tutoring. They asked for proof. I pulled up the tutoring app on my phone and showed my session history. They asked if they could search my side of the room. I said yes. I didn't have anything to hide. They went through everything, backpack, drawers, under my bed, even inside my pillowcase. No laptop. One of the officers looked annoyed. The other one was neutral. They handed me a form to sign, confirming I gave them permission to search. I signed it with my hands shaking. Then they told me I'd be temporarily removed from housing for safety reasons while they investigated. I had to pack a bag in front of Danica, who sat there with this smug, quiet satisfaction on her face. Not even trying to hide it. Like this was the outcome she wanted. As I left, I heard someone in the hallway whisper, "Is that the girl who got caught?" I didn't sleep that night. Or the next one. I ended up crashing on my coworker's couch for a week before I found a Craigslist ad for a small room in a grad student's apartment. The guy barely spoke to me, but he didn't ask questions, and the rent was cheap. The school never officially punished me. There was no hearing, no charges. They said there wasn't enough evidence. But the damage was done. People talked. I lost the dorm spot. My name was Mud. Danica never said another word to me. I spent the next 3.5 years grinding. School, work, no distractions. I kept my head down, didn't party, didn't post. I studied in the library or in my room, took summer courses, and built up a solid GPA. I still worked 2 jobs, one at a diner, and another at a small pawn shop off Appalachie Parkway, where I mostly did inventory and helped log intake forms. That job is what changed everything. One night during senior spring, Joe, the shop owner, asked me to go through some old transaction files. We were doing a software update, and he wanted to make sure the older inventory matched the digital records. I pulled out this beat-up folder with intake forms from 2019. I was flipping through pages when I saw her name. Danica Marshall. It didn't hit me at first. I saw the name, then looked at the item listed. MacBook Pro. Silver. Serial number ending in 3x29A. The date was October 2019, the exact week she accused me. I sat there, staring at the form, feeling my blood run cold. She had pawned the laptop before filing the report. The form showed she got $300 for it. Claimed it was hers, signed the ownership declaration, showed her ID. Joe had scanned a copy of her driver's license with the form. It was her. No doubt about it. I took a deep breath, brought it to Joe, and told him the story. Everything. He looked stunned. Then he got quiet and said, "Well, I guess we're filing a report." We called campus security first. Then the local police. They took statements, scanned the documents, checked records. One of the officers said it looked like insurance fraud. She'd probably reported the laptop stolen to get a claim while also pawning it for cash. They said I could file a defamation report too, since her lie got me removed from housing and nearly expelled. The investigation took a few weeks. They wanted to make sure everything checked out. Danica had moved off campus years ago and was still a student somehow, probably coasting on her parents' donations to the business program. But now they had her number. They just needed the right moment. I told them when graduation was. Graduation was just a few weeks away, and things started moving fast. One of the detectives from Tallahassee PD called me in to confirm more details. They asked about my movements back in October 2019. I still had old tutoring schedules, text messages, and emails from that night. Everything lined up. They also pulled up Danica's insurance claim. She filed it 3 days after pawning the laptop. The serial number matched the one she listed as stolen. She had filed a fake police report, committed insurance fraud, and falsely accused me, all to squeeze money out of her own stuff. And it worked, for a while. That's what kept eating at me. She didn't just lie, she planned it. She picked me because I was easy to frame. I was poor, quiet, stayed out of trouble. The kind of person no one would defend. And it worked. She got rid of me and walked around campus like she was untouchable. That was about to change. One of the guys from the student government committee stopped me near Strozier Library and said, "Hey, I heard Danica said you were stalking her?" I blinked. What? He looked uncomfortable. Yeah, she told a few people you've been showing up near her apartment. Said you're obsessed. I hadn't even seen her in weeks. Later that night, I got a DM from one of her friends, some girl named Mariah I vaguely remembered from freshman year. "You need to back off, Corey. Whatever drama you're trying to stir up, it's pathetic. Danica's dad has lawyers." That's when I realized Danica must have caught wind of the investigation. Maybe she got a call. Maybe someone tipped her off. But instead of facing it, she was going on the offensive. Trying to flip the story. It made me sick. I didn't respond to Mariah's message. Instead, I forwarded it to the detective. The next day, I got a call saying Danica's dad had shown up at the police station with a lawyer, asking about a harassment claim. He was trying to derail the real case with noise and confusion. But it didn't work. The police told them straight, they were investigating Danica for fraud. Not me. I heard from Joe, too. Someone had called the pawn shop asking if they were sure about the intake form, offering to settle the matter quietly. Joe hung up on them. That same week, I got a notice from the university dean's office. They were reopening my old housing record from freshman year. Not to punish me, but to clear it. The report would show that the accusation from Danica had no evidence and was now under investigation for being a false claim. I would be officially removed from the list of students with disciplinary flags. It felt surreal. Like watching someone slowly rewind the worst moment of your life. But I still didn't feel peace. Not yet. Because Danica was still out there. Posting graduation selfies on Instagram. Bragging about her new job in Miami. Talking about how resilience got her where she was. The girl who ruined my reputation. Who got me kicked out of the dorms. Who made me sleep on a stranger's couch and cry myself to sleep more nights than I'll admit. She was walking across the same stage as me. Unless someone stopped her. 3 days before graduation, the police called. They were ready. They said the arrest warrant was signed. Danica would be taken in on 3 charges, 1, filing a false police report, 2. Insurance fraud, 3. Defamation with intent to cause harm. They planned to serve it quietly on the morning of graduation. Either before the ceremony started, or, if necessary, during. When I hung up, I just sat on the edge of my bed for a long time. My hands were shaking. Not from fear. From the weight of it all. This was really happening. The night before graduation, I went to the stadium for rehearsal. They lined us up by college. Danica was a few rows ahead of me in the College of Business group. I saw her laughing with her friends, wearing red lipstick and fake eyelashes, holding her phone like it was a trophy. She didn't look worried. She had no idea what was coming. Then she turned around and saw me. Her face dropped. Not for long. Just a flicker. But it was enough. She narrowed her eyes. Smirked. Like she was daring me to try anything. I just smiled back. I didn't need to do anything. I'd already done enough. The morning of graduation was already hot. Not Florida summer hot, but humid enough that everyone was sweating through their gowns before we even lined up. I got to the Civic Center early. There were cameras, balloons, parents everywhere. It was supposed to be the best day of our lives. For most people, maybe it was. But not for me. For me, it was the day I'd been waiting for since freshman year, the day someone who tried to ruin me would finally face what she'd done. I wore my plain black gown and cap with no cords, no sashes, nothing fancy. I'd earned honors, but I didn't sign up for anything extra. I didn't want to stand out. I wanted to watch. Danica, though? She showed up like she was walking a red carpet. Gold cords she didn't earn. High heels. Bright pink nails. Her gown was tailored tighter than anyone else's. She had 2 friends holding up her phone while she took boomerangs for Instagram. I overheard her say, "I bet I look better than half these girls even if I tripped on the way up." She laughed. Her laugh grated like nails on a chalkboard. A woman with a clipboard went down the line, checking names. I was near the end of the College of Arts and Sciences. Danica was 2 rows ahead in the business section. I couldn't help watching her every few minutes. She had no clue what was coming. But then something strange happened. One of the campus officials whispered something to a security officer at the edge of the line. The officer nodded and left. About 5 minutes later, 2 plainclothes officers came in from the side entrance. They weren't wearing badges, but they looked serious. One of them carried a folder. They scanned the room. They looked toward Danica. Then, they walked right past her. Straight up to me. My heart sank. One of them leaned in close. "You're Corey F? Just need a quick word." I nodded, stunned. Everyone around me started whispering. The other officer stood behind me as they led me away from the line. "What's going on?" I asked, my voice tight. They led me to a side hallway near the loading dock. It was cooler there, dimmer. The first officer opened the folder. Inside was a stack of printed emails. "Before we serve the warrant, we need to ask, did you send these?" He handed me a few sheets. The emails were nasty. Threats, photos of Danica walking on campus, fake social media accounts. Someone had been pretending to be me, saying things like hope she chokes on her fake diploma. There were even photos from my old neighborhood, my job. It wasn't me. I never wrote a word of it. I told them so, right away. They nodded. "We figured. But her father's been pushing hard. Said if we arrest her, they'll claim you've been harassing her for months." I felt sick. Danica wasn't just trying to lie her way out of this. She had set up a backup plan. Fake messages, fake accounts, all traced back to me. They were trying to make it look like I was obsessed. Dangerous. So when the news came out, I'd be the unstable loser who ruined a girl's graduation out of revenge. But the police had already investigated. They had traced the IPs from the emails. They didn't come from me. They came from her apartment's Wi-Fi. It was another layer to her lies. Another setup. And it failed. After confirming again that I had nothing to do with the messages, they thanked me and said, "Don't worry. We're doing it now." I walked back toward the line just as they made the announcement for graduates to start preparing to walk. Then I heard it. Screaming. Not loud, not panicked. Just one high-pitched "Are you serious right now?" echoing down the hall. It was her. She'd just been told. But she didn't go quietly. Instead of cooperating, Danica started shouting that it was a setup, that this is some jealous ex-roommate thing, that she was being humiliated in front of her family. I saw her try to yank her arm away from one of the officers. She knocked over a podium. Her phone hit the floor and shattered. Then, security came. 2 more officers flanked her. Her graduation cap flew off her head as she screamed. "I'm supposed to give a speech." People pulled out their phones. You could hear the whispers travel like wind through the arena. They cuffed her right there. In front of everyone. And walked her out. She screamed at the audience like a reality show meltdown. Yelled, "You'll all regret this, and this is a lawsuit waiting to happen." But nobody looked scared. They just looked disgusted. I stood in my row, staring at the empty spot where she had stood just minutes earlier. And then I noticed something I hadn't expected. One of her so-called friends, Mariah, was crying. Not for Danica. For herself. She turned and walked off, taking off her own cords as she went. I didn't know what it meant yet. But something else was coming. After Danica was dragged out of the graduation hall, everything felt strange. People were trying to act normal, but you could feel the tension in the air. Like something big had just happened and nobody wanted to be the first to talk about it. The ceremony kept going. I heard my name called. I walked across the stage and took my diploma. People clapped. My parents stood up and cheered. But my mind wasn't on the moment. I kept thinking about what Danica said before she was taken out, "You'll all regret this." At first, I figured it was just empty drama. But the next day, the news hit. FSU student arrested at graduation for fraud and filing false police report. It was everywhere, Reddit, Facebook, even Twitter. Her mugshot was all over local news. Some reporters picked up the old story from freshman year and wrote about how she'd falsely accused her roommate of stealing her laptop. That's when people really got mad. Students started sharing their own stories about Danica. One girl said Danica once framed her sorority sister for plagiarism because they both liked the same guy. Another girl posted screenshots of texts where Danica bragged about knowing someone in the dean's office and making problems disappear. Her old friend Mariah even posted a long thread about how Danica told everyone she'd bury Corey's name if she ever got the chance. She claimed Danica made the fake email accounts herself and used their apartment Wi-Fi to send messages under my name. That was the first real twist. Mariah flipped. Turns out, she'd already been interviewed by police before graduation, and she was scared. She gave them her phone, her laptop, everything. Danica had used Mariah's devices to make the fake messages look like they came from me. When Mariah found out, she was pissed. She said Danica manipulated her into thinking it was just a prank to protect her image. Now, she wanted to clear her own name. That was the second part of Danica's downfall. The first was the laptop. The second was the setup. The third? That was still coming. A few days later, I got a call from an investigator with the State Insurance Commission. He asked if I was willing to give a deposition about the false insurance claim. I said yes. Then I found out something I didn't expect. Danica didn't just file one insurance claim. She'd filed 4, 1 in high school, 2 in college, and the one for the laptop. And every single one of them had strange gaps. Missing receipts. Conflicting serial numbers. A missing pair of diamond earrings that showed up later on her Instagram in a Throwback Thursday post. She had a history. Now the state was looking into felony-level insurance fraud. Her dad tried to get her out of it. He hired an expensive lawyer from Miami, tried to blame everything on me. But when the police pulled Danica's digital history, it was over. They found everything. The fake emails, the dummy social media accounts, the text messages to Mariah, even notes in her phone with things like, "Get Corey out of dorm," and "Call insurance after pawn." It was like she documented her crimes. And I wasn't done yet. With help from a student legal service, I filed a civil lawsuit. Defamation. Emotional distress. Lost housing, damaged reputation. At first, her lawyer sent me a settlement offer, $2,000, and a non-disclosure agreement. I laughed. I declined. We pushed forward. By August, Danica had been formally expelled from FSU. Her degree was revoked. Her name was removed from the graduation list. She had to return her diploma frame. Yes, they sent a notice for that. The best part? Her new job in Miami? Gone. They rescinded the offer after the arrest. I know because someone from LinkedIn messaged me. She'd bragged about it in a forum and suddenly the company pulled her name from their website. I was watching her life unravel piece by piece. Slowly. Completely. But it wasn't until the court hearing that I got the real closure. It was a small courtroom in Leon County. Danica came in wearing a cheap gray suit and no makeup. Her hair was tied up in a messy bun. No friends. No parents. Just her and her lawyer. She didn't even look at me. The judge let me speak. I told them everything. From freshman year to that final walk across the stage. I didn't cry, but I wanted to. I just laid it out clear and simple, how one lie changed the course of my entire college life. How I spent nights crying on a stranger's couch while she walked free. How she tried to frame me twice. And how I never even got a sorry. The judge said something I'll never forget. "Miss Marshall, this is not just a case of poor judgment. This is a pattern of cruelty, deceit, and abuse of privilege. And now, the consequences are yours to carry." She was sentenced to 18 months probation, 100 hours of community service, and ordered to pay restitution to the insurance company and me. That's right. Danica Marshall had to write me a check. The court ordered her to pay $12,000 in damages over 2 years. And she couldn't file for bankruptcy to get out of it. Now? I have my degree. I have a job, nothing fancy, but it's mine. I sleep better. I look people in the eye again. And every month, I get a check in the mail from a girl who once said I didn't belong on her side of the room. I don't even cash them right away. I let them pile up a bit. Just so she knows, every 30 days, she still owes me. Not just money. Everything. And no, she never apologized. But she doesn't need to. The truth did it for her.